It is the morning of December 1st, 1948, Somerton Beach, Adelaide. A man sits propped against the seawall, legs extended, shoes still polished. Joggers pass him. A couple walks by. Someone assumes he is sleeping off a long night. By mid-morning, he is confirmed dead. No identification, no cause of death, no record of his existence anywhere in the system. 75 years on, the case of this man, known only by the Persian phrase found sewn into his clothing, remains one of the most thoroughly examined unsolved Australian mysteries in recorded history. Not because investigators failed to work it hard, but because someone, somewhere, worked much harder to make sure that this man could never be found. The discovery. 2 witnesses later reported seeing a man matching the description the previous evening, the 30th of November, in the same position at the same location. One noted that his arm was raised, then fell. They assumed he was intoxicated. Neither reported it. When police arrived the following morning, they found a male, estimated between 40 and 45 years of age, well-built, good physical condition, well-dressed, with clothes that were pressed and intact. Cause of death was not immediately apparent. A systematic search of his person produced the following: a bus ticket to Glenelg, a tram ticket, an aluminium comb, a half-eaten pasty, a box of matches, and 5 cigarettes. Some placed back in the packet upside down, a detail small enough to overlook and significant enough to remember. No wallet, no watch, no correspondence, and crucially, every label from every item of clothing had been removed, not fallen off, removed, deliberately and completely. The body and the autopsy. The post-mortem was conducted by pathologist John Burton Cleland. His findings were, to use the clinical term, inconsistent. The man had died in the early hours of December 1st. His organs showed acute congestion. His spleen was enlarged to approximately 3 times its normal size. The stomach contained a small quantity of blood. The blood itself was darker than expected. Cleland noted the presentation was consistent with poisoning. He could not confirm a specific poison. The toxicological capabilities available in 1948 were not sufficient to detect every compound class, and some analysts have since suggested that whatever killed this man was either rare, synthetic, or both. There was no trauma, no bruising, no evidence of a physical altercation. The man either trusted the source of what killed him, or he administered it himself. His fingerprints were circulated nationally and through Interpol. No match was returned. His physical description was published. No family came forward. He was embalmed, a plaster cast made of his face, and his body retained pending identification. The identification did not come, not for decades. The hidden pocket. Here is where the case changes character entirely. 7 months after the body was found, in late July 1949, a detective re-examining the dead man's trousers discovered a small concealed pocket sewn into the waistband. Inside it was a tightly rolled scrap of paper, approximately the size of a thumbnail. Printed on it, 2 words, Tamam Shud. The phrase comes from the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, a 12th century Persian collection of verse dealing with mortality, fate, and the passage of time. Translated, Tamam Shud means, essentially, it is finished. It appears on the final page of that text. The scrap had been torn from an actual copy of the book. The tear was clean and specific. Police issued an appeal. Whoever owned a copy of the Rubaiyat with its final page missing should present it to investigators immediately. Within days, someone did. The Rubaiyat and the nurse. A man came forward stating he had found a copy of the Rubaiyat, a rare Australian published edition, in the unlocked back seat of his car, parked near Somerton Beach, around the time of the death. He had kept it and thought nothing of it until the appeal ran. The torn edge of the book's final page matched the scrap from the hidden pocket. On the inside rear cover of the book, written in faint pencil, were 2 items, a telephone number, and 5 lines of capital letters. Irregular, without spaces, unlike any shorthand system or commercial cipher then in documented use. The telephone number was traced to a young nurse, later known publicly as Jestyn, whose real name was Jessica Thompson. She lived close to Somerton Beach. When shown the plaster cast of the dead man's face, she reacted with visible distress, going pale and nearly fainting, according to the officer present. She denied knowing the man. She acknowledged that she had previously owned a copy of the Rubaiyat and had given it to an acquaintance some years earlier. She would not provide a name. She requested anonymity. Police granted it. That decision and the reasoning behind it was never formally documented. The code. The 5 lines of letters recovered from the book were submitted to naval intelligence, then to cryptographers in Britain and the United States. No solution has ever been established. The sequence does not conform to any known cipher of the period. It shows characteristics consistent with what analysts call a one-time pad. The only form of encryption considered theoretically unbreakable, requiring a physically matching key held separately by sender and recipient. If that assessment is correct, the code cannot be solved without the key, and the key, in all probability, died on Somerton Beach. For investigators, that interpretation does significant work. It shifts the case from personal tragedy toward something more structured. Deliberate label removal, a concealed pocket, an unbreakable cipher, a local contact who claims ignorance. These are not the features of a private individual who wandered onto a beach to die. They are, point by point, consistent with the operating procedures of a trained intelligence operative. This is the 5-minute mark, and this is the question that changes everything. Who was this man actually working for? Suspects and theories. The Cold War context is relevant. It is 1948. The Soviet intelligence apparatus is actively operating in Australia. The Venona program has already established that Allied networks had been penetrated at significant depth. Australia, as a signals intelligence partner, was a target of considerable interest. A trained operative arriving under a false identity, carrying a cipher communication for a local contact whose cover is a woman who denies all knowledge. This is a recognizable pattern. It does not constitute proof, but it is coherent. The hypothesis gains additional dimension from Jessica Thompson's son, Robin, born in 1947. Robin's rare blood type, shared by fewer than 10% of the population, matched that of the dead man. Later genealogical DNA analysis, conducted by a team led by University of Adelaide researcher Derek Abbott, produced results that investigators described as suggestive of a direct biological relationship. If the dead man was Robin's father, the Rubaiyat was not only a cipher key, it was a message, a last contact. The phone number, a way of announcing arrival to someone who, for reasons she never articulated, chose not to respond. Psychological profile. Without a confirmed identity, any psychological assessment of this man must be provisional. What the evidence permits is this: he was methodical. The removal of every identifying label is a rehearsed behaviour, not an improvised one. It was carried out without omission, which suggests it was routine rather than reactive. He was trained. One-time pad encryption requires mathematical precision and operational discipline. Its use here, if correctly identified, indicates prior instruction. The cigarettes placed upside down in the packet have been noted by several forensic behavioural analysts as consistent with a stress management habit in individuals operating under sustained cognitive pressure. It is a small, private ritual, something a person does when they are holding something large and saying nothing about it. And the scrap, Tamam Shud, carried in a hidden pocket against the body. It is finished. Whatever else this man believed or intended, he appears to have been carrying the knowledge that this particular chapter, possibly his life, was already resolved. He did not fight it. He sat down. He waited. The identification. In 2023, South Australian Police formally confirmed what researcher Derek Abbott's team had proposed. The man's name was Carl Webb. Born in Melbourne in 1905, an instrument maker and electrical engineer by trade. A man with a documented life that nonetheless left almost no trace in the official record at the time of his death. The confirmation of his name has not resolved the case. It has only made the remaining questions more specific. What brought Webb to Adelaide in November 1948? Why was he carrying a concealed cipher? What was his connection to Jessica Thompson and to the son she raised after his death? Who, if anyone, was he reporting to? The man has a name. The case does not have an answer. And among the unsolved Australian mysteries that have persisted through the decades, this one has earned its place, not because it is dramatic, but because every piece of evidence, followed to its end, points toward a door that stays shut. Next, 6 people killed on a German farm in 1922, with the killer living in the house for days after. You need to hear this one. Subscribe so it finds you.